I just want to say hello to everybody. It's been a wonderful, rainy few days here in Greenwood. And I'm just wanting to say thank you, God, because my yard and my garden got extra help, divine help. So I know I'm going to have some more cucumbers and some more tomatoes and some eggplant and a few other things. So, and I know everybody else is happy for your flowers and everything that's going on in your garden. So today, and I just want to make sure you all understand where we are. We are in Greenwood, South Carolina, and we are at Emerald City Radio with the wonderful Benitra Boss Lady. And we are here at WCZZ 102.7 and 1090 AM. So, and it's 102.7 FM, just in case you don't know. And so today we're going to talk about reading. I figured I'd kind of make it a little bit light today because this is one of my first books. Actually, this is the third book I wrote. It's called The Swing. And this book is really, the location for this book is here. Greenwood County, McCormick County, Abbeville County, this area. But it's written starting back in the 60s. And so I wanted to tell you something about what we're going to be doing here. But first, we're going to talk about why reading is important and healthy for you mentally and spiritually and physically. So I brought my notes today. So reading offers numerous benefits for both physical, as I said, and mental wellness. And it also, and I'm adding in spiritual because you know everything has to have a spiritual connection. Otherwise, what's the purpose? You know, what's the purpose? So it strengthens the brain, reduces stress, improves sleep, and can even contribute to a longer lifespan. Now, did you ever think about that? Reading a book, reading magazines, reading the Bible, reading, period, could extend your lifespan. Did you, isn't that awesome? Extending your lifespan. By engaging with different narratives and perspectives, reading also fosters empathy and improves communication skills. So when my children were little, I have boys. I'm a boy mom. I'm still a boy mom, even though they're in their 40s. I'm a boy mom, and I'm a boy grandmom as well. I have 2 granddaughters, precious, precious, precious granddaughters. And the rest are boys. I love them. I love them. And 2 great grandsons. So, I'm a boy mom. But anyway, back to the story. When my children were little, it was hard to get them to read, especially my oldest. It was hard to get him to read. So one day he and I sat down and I said, listen, you are going to have to read. You have to read. You can't just, hear everything and expect to learn it. You have to hear it. You have to learn it by hearing. You learn it by seeing it. You learn it by reading it. You learn by doing it. All of those things are how you learn. So anyway, he and I discussed it, and I said, okay, if I'm going to buy books, I've always bought books, even before my children were born. And when I was pregnant, I would always buy kids' books. So I have boxes and boxes of kids' books. But what I did was I asked him what would he read. And so he said Sports Illustrated. I'm not giving you that. I think I might have told you all this story. But I was like, I'm not buying you a Sports Illustrated. He started laughing. He said, Mama, no, the junior. They have one for juniors. He was about 10 or 11 or 12. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. So we were in the store, and he saw one, and I bought it for him. And I always bought them highlight magazines. You can still get your children highlight magazines, and I recommend you do. So I was getting the highlight magazines, and then I made him in a subscription for Sports Illustrated Junior. And do you know, he read that book cover to cover every time it came. And he was looking for it to come. In my magazine here yet? You know. So, but the whole month he read that book cover to cover. And then it started getting him, kids always love comic strips. And so I would buy him comic books and things. And then he started reading more stuff. He went to the library and got a book on Malcolm X. It terrified me at the time because, again, this was in still in the 80s, might have been late 80s. And I was, I don't know. And so, but I let him read it. And he and I discussed it because I wanted him I didn't want him to learn that any means necessary meant that it was okay to, do bad things in order to get what you want done, So he and I discussed it so that he would understand what Malcolm X actually meant. And so just things like that I did for my children to help them. Now, my youngest son was a little bit different. He enjoyed reading, and he still enjoys reading, even as an adult male. He enjoys reading. So he wanted the Black Enterprise magazine. And they had one for kids and they had one for adults at that time. So I got him the one for kids. So, talk to your kids, find out what they like, and then get books pertaining to that so that, you can get your children to read and do the same things for yourself, because it really is important to read. Now, do you have to speed read? No. Is there a requirement that you read 10 or 12 books a month? No. One book. And when you're done with it, read another book, So, and guess what? I got a whole bunch of books. I have 8, almost 9. So there's plenty of books to read. But anyway, let's talk about mental and cognitive benefits of reading. It strengthens your brain. Reading stimulates various brain regions, creating new neutral connections and strengthening existing ones. So basically, when you are reading, it stimulates your brain, and it helps you to start recognizing words, recognizing phrases and things, and getting your brain to work in a positive direction. So just think about it. When you're reading something and you come across a word you don't know, what does your brain do? Your brain stops and it's like, okay, I don't know this word. And so it starts searching the data banks in your brain to look for a word. Back in the day, if we couldn't come up with it, we went to the dictionary. We went to the dictionary, a real book that you had to thumb through and find the C's. And when you got to the C's, then you went C-O-G-N-I until you found cognitive. And then it told you what cognitive meant. Now you can just go on your computer and put it in, or in your phone, and say, what is cognitive? And it'll explain it to you, which is kind of lazy. I do it sometimes, but it's still kind of lazy. Get a dictionary. Keep a dictionary in your house. So that you can actually see the words and read the words and read what it means. The next thing is reduces cognitive decline. We see a lot of times when there has been research done that shows, especially in older people, the more they read, the stronger their cognitive abilities become. Again, the more they read. And it helps to decline things like the onset of dementia and the onset of Alzheimer's as they read, and writing as well, So those are things that you want to do. My mother loved word find she loved those word finds, and she loved reading. And so it just, once the Alzheimer's really set in, then, she didn't read anymore. And sometimes I would read to her, or my sister would read to her. So, which is another thing we're going to talk about as well. It improves memory and focus, which is obvious. The more you read something, then it's going to stick into your brain, and it's going to help you to remember it better. So, and I don't know if you have done this before, but I would be reading a book. So I'm reading a book, and I get to a place, and it says, for the most part, Jason and Mary Alice had a wonderful life, especially after she stopped fighting him about his poor law firm. Poor law firm? What law firm? Because, I'm reading, and I'm like, law firm? So then I'll go back to figure out, what did she mean by a poor law firm? So I go back and find it, read that part again, and then come and say, okay, I got it. And then I would go on. However, about a year into their marriage, Mary Alice's mood swings were uncontrollable. So, I just go on and continue reading that portion of the book. So, boost vocabulary and language skills. That's kind of obvious. You learn more words as you read. Enhances critical thinking and problem solving. Reading encourages deeper analysis, interpretation, and evaluation of information. It's, when you, the best way to learn how to problem solve is to actually have a problem and figure it out, But in figuring it out, you may have to go and look some things up. You may have to find a manual if something's wrong, with your TV. You may have to go find the manual to kind of figure it out, what's wrong with it, and just different things like that. So as you're reading, it helps you not only to learn problem solving, but critical thinking. Critical thinking is very, very, very imperative, because what critical thinking does is it helps you to think something all the way through, even outside of the box. So that you have you have to, cook a pot of rice, so you're like, okay, I got to cook a pot of rice, and you're looking on the back of the box, and it tells you what to do. So you're following the instructions on the box, and it says, cook this rice for 5 minutes. And critical thinking will say, wait a minute, no, I don't think my mama did that. I think rice cooks longer than 5 minutes. And then you think back to the last time you cooked rice based on the box, and the rice was really crunchy. So now you know that 5 minutes is not long enough, that you're going to have to cook it for longer. And that's what critical thinking does. Not only does it tell you that you have to cook the rice for longer, but it tells you that since you're not sure how much longer, that you need to test it every now and then just to make sure that to make sure that the rice is actually done. So that's what critical thinking means, that you're looking outside of the box. You're looking outside to make sure that there are no avenues on the outside of what you're actually looking at that you can use in order to process the situation and solve whatever the issue is. It stimulates creativity and imagination. Creativity to me is fundamental. I'm always trying to do different things. I'm always trying to learn how to make something, or how to, even with AI, I'm taking a little class to learn how to use AI better. and my chat GPT better. My chat GPT is a guy, because I like the guy voices better than I like the girl voices. And so, but I'm learning how to get him to do the things that I want him to do. And it's working out pretty good. It's a nice class, and it's teaching me things that I obviously don't know. And so, so it's good to learn how to be creative and to use your imagination. So a lot of times we are so anal, meaning that we are so straightforward with things that we don't allow ourselves an opportunity to use our imagination, to venture out again outside of that box, color outside of the lines sometimes, and so we end up not not having what we need in order to really do something, because what have we done? We have not allowed ourselves to use our own brain, to use our own imagination, to come up with things. Okay, we see a pattern. My mother, y'all say she always telling stories about her family. My mother, we had a couch when I was little. We lived in Philadelphia, and we had this couch. I don't ever remember not having that couch. And so one day we came home. My mother had cut that couch in half. I was probably at that time about 12 or 13. My mother had cut that couch in half and started reupholstering it, and she made 2 side chairs. Who would have thought to do that but my mother? She was very imaginative and very creative. So, and that's what I mean, use your imagination. Reading helps you to use your imagination. So, another thing that it does is it helps you to foster empathy and emotional intelligence. So, what does empathy mean? Empathy means that if I see something going on with somebody, I may not have experienced it, but I can use my feelings to help them to feel better. I can say, okay, I've never done this before. I've never experienced this before, but just tell me what you need me to do to help you feel better. Just tell me what you need me to do in order to help you to complete whatever it is you need to you need to finish up. So that's what that means. It also means that when you see people in distress, you help them. Children, if you look at children, if somebody on the playground is hurt, the children are going to run up and soothe that child, pat them on the back, do whatever, rub their knees or whatever they're going to do until an adult comes to help them. Adults don't do that. Adults just look at you and keep on walking. That's because they've lost their sense of empathy. But when you read, especially depending on the type of books you read, then you definitely have a chance to be able to regain some of that based on what the stories are about. Provide self-relief, self-stress relief. So you had a long day and you're tired and you come home, you just want to sit in the chair and read a book. Why? Because that book takes your mind off of whatever it was that you had to deal with during the day. You can watch a movie. Some people play games on their computers. Some people do all those type of things to relax, listen to music, and reading a book should be in that, so that people, so that you can relax and calm your brain. Now, again, depending on what types of books you enjoy, what are some, now it also says improves sleep quality. So if you read at night, then you get more tired. And so you see a lot of pictures with people asleep with the book on their chest because they fell asleep reading the book. And you know, it doesn't mean the book is boring. It just means that it has relaxed you to the point where now you can take a nap or whatever. And you know, you hear a lot of people say, well, if I just can't sleep, I read the Psalms. You know, I read the Psalms, and you read the Psalms and you read the Psalms until you fall asleep. You know, or you read something else in the Bible until you fall asleep. And it doesn't mean, again, that it's boring. It just means that that's part of helping you to reduce the amount of stress that's keeping you awake. And then you fall asleep. Physical reduces stress and blood pressure. Again, it's just because it's calming. So now I have to say this. If you are reading something that is really high strung, for me, if I'm wanting to calm down, I'm not going to read something that's really high strung, that's going to keep me all revved up. You know, I'm going to read something else. But if you're the type of person that's what it does for you, then fine. You know, you read, you know, a great murder mystery, or you read, and I love murder mysteries. And I love dramas, different types of dramas. I don't particularly like, I do not like paranormal. I don't read paranormal. And I don't read really strong romance novels. You know, you can figure out what I'm saying. So I don't read those. And so, but I do love a good romance. I do love a good drama, in which I write Christian romance drama. So there's always something going on. Like, you know, in this book, I'm going to read a chapter for you here in a minute. You know, so you know, and helps your blood pressure. It contributes to longer life. Research has shown that people that read consistently tend to live longer. Now, I haven't read that research, but I'm sure it's true, because why? You know, it's helping to lower your blood pressure. It's helping to lower your stress level. It's helping to keep your brain going and your cognicity going, and helping you to remember things better. And so how can that not help for you to live longer? You know, and improves communication skills. We've already talked about that. And provides entertainment and enjoyment. That's the best part. You know, you read because you just want to be calm. You know, you want to sit. Now, you can watch a movie. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with watching movies. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with playing games on your computer or on your phone. I'm not saying, you know, you can listen to music. You can listen to stories. You know, there's a lot of audibles. And hey there, Miss Jackie. And there's a lot of audibles. I love audibles. Now, I did not always like audibles. And the reason for that is because I like having a book in my hand. I like turning the pages. I like writing in my books. Yes. I write in my books. And so, which is why I have a hard time when I take books from the library, because I have to remember I can't turn down the pages and I cannot write in the book because I have to take it back. But anyway, you know, so you just have to kind of let the books help you to just be calm. Let them provide that entertainment for you. Let them do that, you know, and find the types of books that, and most people like various types of books. You don't find too many people that will only read one type of book, because if you do, then they're probably fanatical in other things as well. And that could be a problem. So, but, you know, when you find people that like to read different types of books, I read this awesome book by Jacqueline Thomas. It was a good book. It was about a CIA agent that had retired, but he had to go back in. he became a private investigator or something. But anyway, he was protecting this girl that was in the what's that program they have when they change your identity, you know, because you know you're hiding from the mafia or something. In this case, that's exactly what was happening. They were hiding her from the mafia, and so they changed her identity and sent her somewhere. Well, the mafia guy found her. Man, it was a good book. It was a good book, and I like her books anyway, and so it was good. It was good. It's an old book. I think it's like one of the first or second books she's written. She's written over 100 books, so but it's really good. So hey, Miss Arlene. So the thing is, find books that you like, and find various types of books that you like, you know, and read and allow it to help you cognitively, allow it to help you to learn new words, allow it to help you to expand your imagination, allow it to help you to do all of those things, because that just only helps to expand your life, you know. So you live longer, and I plan to live 120 years plus. So I read a lot of books, you know. I listen. Oh yeah, I was telling you all that I did not like audibles, but my husband loves audibles, and for ever since audibles came out, when they were CDs that you would just play in your CD player, and you'd have to take it out and put another. We have like 5 boxes of, it's like got to be 500 those type of CDs for reading books at our house now. But so I started liking them because when we travel, that's what we listen to, and we'll pick a story we want to hear, and then we'll listen to it. He likes James Patterson, but he also likes Amish. So so we listen to a variety of different things when we're traveling. And if we're traveling a long way, we could probably listen to at least 2 books while we're on our trip. We went cross country, and I think we listened to 3 books going and coming back. We listened to 3 books. So there is always a way to do it, you know, to listen or to read. But today we're talking about reading your book, reading it on your Kindle, reading it with a paper book in your hand. And let me tell you something. Do authors a favor, if at all possible. Order the book from the author. Like Jackie is an awesome author. Order her books from her, you know, so that way, you know, she can get all of her money, as opposed to Amazon getting half and she gets some, and you know, that sort of thing. You know, order the books from me. Order the books from other authors that you like. Try as much as possible to order the books from them. But if not, you know, buy them from the bookstore, buy them from Amazon. But the whole thing is, what you want to do is read. That's what you want to do. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about is spending time together while reading aloud. You know, that really helps. Reading to each other, reading to your children. You know, when the worst detriment you can do to your child is to not read to your child. Because if you don't read to your child is not going to read as quickly as they grow. Read to your child, you know, read them a bedtime story, read them a story after dinner or whenever, you know, read them a story and let them start getting into that, and let them read it to you. Are they going to know the words? Absolutely not. But they're going to point to the pictures and tell you that story. Especially if you have already read it to them, then they're going to point to it and they're going to tell you that story. And they're going to, you know, they're going to really enjoy it. And you're going to really enjoy it. So I just wanted to come on and talk about this, talk about reading. And I said I was going to read a little bit from my book. Let me see if I can see where I had started. That part I was reading. This book, like I said, is called The Swing. It's called The Swing. And it is a story of love and hate, keeping up appearances, being unequally yoked, and the unconditional love of a child. The Swing is a story of two families with opposing ideas of what it meant to live a privileged life. While you enjoy the Wilkinsons and the Chamberlains, take time to identify behaviors that may hinder you from being a godly person. And I'm just going to read the first chapter because my time is like probably already up. Chamber 1, love shows up in the weirdest places. People call me Jake, but my real name is John Joseph Johnson. Only God knows what my parents were thinking that day. My brother is named after my dad, so he's the junior. Then my two sisters, Suzette and Patsy. I was the surprise, and my mom said she made sure there would be no more surprises. When I was born, they decided to use both of my grandfather's names, and so my name became John Joseph Johnson. My brother started calling me Jake almost from the day they brought me home, and I am forever grateful to him. I've always been fascinated with fires, how they start and how they are put out. I remember once I almost burned the house down trying to see how long it would take to put out a couch fire. My mom counseled me severely about the perils of setting the couch on fire, as well as its coalition with prison. She said I'd better become a fireman when I grow up, because otherwise I will go to jail for arson. So it made sense that immediately after graduation I joined the Navy and became a damage controlman, the Navy's equivalent to a firefighter. After training, I spent the next 8 years fighting all types of fires, at sea and on land. The last 2 years of my naval service, I worked with the base firefighters as a member of the emergency medical service team. In my spare time, I earned my EMS certification. Since leaving the service, I have been an EMS in Greenwood, South Carolina, working with the fire department for the last 2 years. I'm telling you this because in all of my years of fighting fires, I have to say I have never experienced such a disastrous fire as this one. The Wilkinson's place was one of the largest fires anyone can remember in this town. The blaze of the fire shot so high in the air it caused an orange hue along the pitch black sky that could be seen for miles. Smoke so dense it was hard to see. The heat was intense. Everything was burning, everything. That's the night 10 years ago I met Marissa. Today is our 7th anniversary, and as I sit on the porch watching Marissa and my daughter Cassie, I remember how I fell in love with her that night. I knew then there was something really special about her. That fire was a tragedy, but the night was the beginning of my life with Marissa. And obviously, a guy is telling this story. So guys, here's a book for you. So anyway, thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for hanging out with me. And I'm pretty sure my time is up. I don't want the boss lady to be upset with me. Anyway, I love you all. Take care. And remember, Emerald City Radio, WCZZ 102.7 FM and 1090 AM. See you later. Bye. Oh. This Christian life coach.